Hi, Timothy Carlson here. I definitely love a lot of the cinema starring Burt Reynolds. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, he was pretty much the picture of masculinity on the big screen. And Umbrella Entertainment in Australia has actually put out a box set combining 5 of his films on Blu-ray, which I recently imported. So today what we're looking at is The Box of Burt, featuring 5 of his movies. I'm going to unbox this release and share my opinions. Here's a close-up of the package. You can see pictures of him from the various films there. Yeah, the man, the myth, the mustache. Then you have some comments down here as well. Side of the box. Back of the box. Top of the box. Bottom of the box. And as you can see, there's several different film company logos down below. So apparently Umbrella licensed these from many different companies, and that's quite an undertaking. From his start in the 50s as a humble stuntman to the dizzying heights of the #1 box office draw in the world, Burt Reynolds' career had an indelible impact on the very psyche of Hollywood. From Native American warrior to cowboy conman, from moonshine runner to NASCAR hero, from vice cop to porn producer, Burt's career is one of the most eclectic and diverse in the business, traversing feature films, long-running TV shows, theater, and even a brief stint as a talk show host. Burt has truly done it all with both style and panache and a pretty awesome mustache. Presented within this glorious compendium are some of the legend's most celebrated yet disparate works, each accompanied by a slew of extras for your viewing pleasure. Sit back, relax, and prepare to enjoy The Box of Burt. And now we'll crack this open and see what we have inside. There are 5 films in this set, but only 4 discs. And the reason for that is the first film in here is the Cannonball run, but it also includes Cannonball Run 2, so those are both on one disc. So there's the cover art for Cannonball Run. There's our spine, back cover. And I want to point out too, even though these say that they're Region B locked, these discs are not region locked, and they are import friendly. Every Umbrella release I've ever gotten on Blu-ray has always been region free, regardless of the marking on the package. And there's a nice panoramic shot underneath of some of the cast. Both of the Cannonball Run films essentially revolve around an illegal auto race for a $1 million grand prize. Both movies bring together just a who's who of all stars for their casts, and as they said in the bonus features on the disc, they kind of play out like a live action version of Wacky Races to an extent. The movies also draw a lot of influence from things like Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Unfortunately, the simple truth is these movies really aren't that good. I mean, they may have a lot of the ambition and certainly one of the biggest, best casts ever assembled, but in a lot of ways they feel more like sketch comedy sketches that are slapped together to try to form a coherent film. I mean, characters engage in all kinds of death-defying moments, yet they walk away completely unharmed a few scenes later. It is essentially a live-action cartoon. The writing's not the best. The gags do get a bit stale. Every now and then one of them strikes gold, but they are kind of a hit-and-miss experience. I don't hate these movies, but I'm certainly not going to say that they're among Burt Reynolds' best, even if the first Cannonball Run probably is one of his most popular films. Moving down the list in this set, we get The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, in which Burt appeared with the legendary Dolly Parton. Here's our back cover. And inside this case, we get the Book of Burt, which is the insert here. Got some quotes from his films on the back. And there's some pretty cool essays and rare promotional photos and the like here. There's the disc. And underneath there, you got all the ladies from the title establishment. And although the title may lead you to believe otherwise, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas is not a porno. Rather, it's an adaptation of a musical. I mean, obviously, sex and prostitution are certainly plot points, but the movie, for the most part, manages to keep everything somewhat appropriate. It never goes into rated X territory, if you know what I mean. And of course, in this film, Burt Reynolds stars as the sheriff of a town who's in love with the madam running the titular establishment. And the two have something of a relationship, but when a social justice warrior of sorts from another town wants to try to shut down and illegalize the house, Burt has to spring into action to try to stop that from happening. And of course, there are some pretty good tunes throughout. Dolly Parton's always had a great singing voice, and it's good that she gets to put her abilities to the test here. Burt Reynolds is not a man you'd ever picture in a musical, but he's actually surprisingly good here. This movie while certainly no masterpiece, is entertaining in its own way, and I had a lot of fun watching it, actually. Next up, we have Stroker Ace. Under here you have a few characters from the film assembled for a panoramic shot. In Stroker Ace, Burt Reynolds plays a NASCAR driver who finds himself without a sponsor, and he reluctantly signs with a rather unscrupulous promoter who ends up booking him to do a lot of promotional events for a fried chicken franchise that he owns. Needless to say, Burt's character gets very frustrated very quickly and will do just about anything to get out of his contract. There's even a pretty good supporting cast here, including Ned Beatty portraying the man who signs into a contract, and Jim Nabors of Gomer Pyle fame portraying his trusty mechanic and best friend, Lugs. This movie is, of course, a little more on the comedic side, and there are some good moments here. It reteamed Burt with director Hal Needham, who'd previously directed Smokey and the Bandit, as well as the two Cannonball Run films, and while it's certainly no masterpiece, there are some enjoyable moments to be had in this one. I'd never even heard of Stroker Ace prior to picking this set up, and apparently it was something of a bomb and didn't get the best reviews, but at the same time, I think this one might be a little underrated, and I'm glad I got to check it out. The fifth and final film in the box of Burt is The Man Who Loved Women. This time around, several women have gathered for the funeral of a man that at one point in their lives they found themselves infatuated and in love with. And throughout the movie, Julie Andrews, who also stars in the film, serves as something of a narrator, telling the story of how so many of these different women happen across this man who's an artist of sorts and, of course, finds himself infatuated with so many different ladies and his encounters with them over the years. This one, I have to say, I had a hard time getting into this one because the movie simply can't decide if it wants to be a comedy or a drama. It never quite succeeds at either. And you have flashbacks within flashbacks, and the narrative structure is a bit of a mess. Again, like most of the movies in this set, it's no masterpiece. It does have its moments, but again, it's probably the weakest of the 5 films here for what it is. As far as picture quality goes, these movies clearly were not remastered, and they were all based on existing masters. Most of them look pretty good for the most part, but they would benefit from some new masters, obviously. Probably the biggest issues here are whenever stock footage is used. Stroker Ace is infamous for this, and it looks like its stock footage was actually shot on videotape, and it looks considerably weaker than the rest of the film. Likewise, The Man Who Loved Women had a few stock footage shots at horse racing tracks, and those tend to look worse than the rest of the film, as well as the flashbacks to Burt's character as a child in The Man Who Loved Women, which look quite atrocious, possibly just because of the way they were filmed. As far as bonus features go, each movie actually gets some bonus material. In some cases, it's older stuff, but there's also some newly filmed interviews here, like from the last few years, that get pretty interesting, and at times are actually quite humorous as well. These extras are actually some of my favorite things in the package. You really get to dive into Burt's career, the politics that were going on behind the scenes at the time, and they do it with a rather humorous outlook, so I certainly appreciated that. So I have to say, should you import the box of Burt? If Umbrella Entertainment has a nice sale and you don't own these movies, it's definitely worth adding to your collection. I do want to add that of all the movies in this set, only the original Cannonball Run and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas are currently available on Blu-ray in the United States. Cannonball Run 2, Stroker Ace, and The Man Who Loved Women have not received Blu-ray releases in the United States to my knowledge. I think this set retails for about $80 American on the Umbrella site, so I think that's a little steep as is, but if they ever have a sale or like one of those buy one, get one sales they do from time to time, in that case, I'd probably recommend going for it. Umbrella does have a deal where if you spend $140 American or more, they will ship the item to the United States for free, so that's something to consider. So basically, for the box of Burt, I'm going to give a moderate recommendation. It was fun revisiting these films. Certainly not Burt Reynolds' career highlights, and they are due for some new masters, but as is, this is the only way to get, like 3 of these films on 1080p Blu-ray for the time being. How about you? Are you a Burt Reynolds fan? What do you think the best film you ever made was? What do you think the best film in this set is? Have you imported the box of Burt yet? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content. I'm always posting new videos, and make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. I'll see you next time.